Always remain in the zero state, advanced cultivation. Xiefeng. Today, Formless Thinking, Part 1. Xiefeng. April 11, 2008. The 8 levels of thinking are: material thinking, image thinking, associative thinking, illusory thinking, visualized thinking, Tai Chi thinking, formless thinking, and holographic thinking. These levels progress in depth and complexity. Ordinary people typically engage in material thinking, artists and writers employ image thinking, scientists use associative thinking, most religious followers operate within illusory thinking, practitioners of mystical arts, such as wizards, engage in visualized thinking, sages engage in Tai Chi thinking, bodhisattvas and Buddhas practice formless thinking, while gods and the greatest creator employ holographic thinking. A person's life level is determined by their way of thinking. In other words, the type of thinking one possesses corresponds to the life level one attains. I have already explained the first 6 types of thinking, so I won't repeat them here. Now, let's delve into formless thinking. Formless thinking, as the name implies, involves understanding and contemplating the origin of the universe, the principles underlying all phenomena, and the essence of life itself, without relying on appearances or forms. Here, form refers to all visible objects and structured movements. Anything that can be seen, heard, smelled, tasted, or touched is a form. The laws and principles discovered and defined by humans are also forms, known as characteristics of Dharma. Even concepts like emptiness and nothingness are forms, called characteristics of non-Dharma. Formless thinking is the thinking of bodhisattvas and Buddhas. It moves beyond color, sound, smell, taste, touch, Dharma, and non-Dharma concepts, directly approaching the universe's origin and the true nature of things. This thinking sees the essence through the appearance, transcending the material world to understand the realm of non-material and the non-material world. It observes the Tathagata, the thus come one, directly, using the Buddha eye to view the world. The Tao that can be spoken of is not the eternal way, the name that can be named is not the eternal name. The law that can be spoken of is not the eternal law, the form that can be seen is not the eternal form. When time and space transform, everything else changes accordingly. In one time and space, a principle may be universally true, but in another, it may no longer apply. What is true today may become false tomorrow, the lover bound by promises today may become an enemy tomorrow, the fragrant meal today may sour and spoil by tomorrow. Thus, all things are impermanent. If one clings to any particular form, fixing it rigidly in their consciousness without adaptation, they will experience endless suffering and confusion. Are all things truly impermanent? No. In all changes, the fundamental remains constant, but where is this fundamental? How can it be found? By observing the myriad forms, one will not find the fundamental. Only in formlessness, by clearing all forms from one's consciousness, can one find the fundamental, recognize the Tathagata, achieve Buddhahood, and escape the sea of suffering to reach the world of ultimate bliss. To guide people toward formless thinking, Buddha Shakyamuni provided the following teachings. If a bodhisattva retains concepts of self, person, sentient beings, or lifespan, they are not a bodhisattva. A bodhisattva should practice giving without attachment to forms, not clinging to color, sound, smell, taste, touch, or law. Bodhisattvas should give without attachment to forms. All forms are illusory. If one sees that all forms are non-forms, they see the Tathagata. If the mind clings to forms, it clings to the concepts of self, others, sentient beings, and lifespan. If one clings to the characteristics of Dharma, they cling to the concepts of self, others, sentient beings, and lifespan. If one clings to the characteristics of non-Dharma, they cling to the concepts of self, others, sentient beings, and lifespan. One should cultivate a tranquil mind like this, not generating thoughts based on form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or Dharma. The mind should arise unattached. To be free from all forms is to be called a Buddha. If one sees me through form or seeks me through sound, they follow a deviant path and cannot see the Tathagata. Those who have resolved to attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi should understand, perceive, believe, and understand all dharmas in this way, without generating the characteristics of dharma. How does one explain this to others? By remaining unattached to form, thus unmoved. Buddha Shakyamuni has clearly shown us that only through formlessness can one see the Tathagata and become a bodhisattva or Buddha. So, how can we practice formless thinking? What can we perceive once we have achieved formlessness? How can we reach the wondrous state of formless thinking? In the next part, Transformation of Time and Space, Formless Thinking, Part 2, we will explore these questions. Time and Space Transformation, Formless Thinking, Part 2. Xiefeng. April 12, 2008. A philosopher once said, "You cannot step into the same river twice." How true this is. On this day last year, at this very gate, human faces reflected the red of peach blossoms. Where have those faces gone? The peach blossoms still smile in the east wind. Young when I left home, and old when I returned, my accent was unchanged, but my hair has grayed. The children see me and don't recognize me, laughing, they ask, "Where has this guest come from?" As stars shift and constellations change, so do people and things. As winds and clouds fluctuate, the days become ever newer. Broken walls where foxes sleep and deserted platforms where hares tread, all were once places of song and dance, yellow flowers chilled by the dew, and withered grasses shrouded in mist, all were battlefields of old. Is there constancy in rise and fall? Where now lies strength and weakness? Once inseparable, what about today? Russia remains, but where has the Soviet Union gone? Yesterday, I played and laughed under the knees of my elders. Will they be well in their old age tomorrow? Tall buildings rise, but is the brook flowing beneath the little bridge in front of my house still clear and murmuring? Yesterday, there was a bustling crowd at the house, today it stands cold and empty, a lone crow on a bare branch. In the place of eternal vows, even simple tea and plain rice taste like the finest delicacies. When friendships turn cold, the sun and moon lose their light, and the sky darkens. When will the spring flowers and autumn moons end? How much do I remember of the past? The little building last night again faced the east wind, and I cannot bear to look back at my homeland under the bright moon. The carved railings and jade steps should still be there, yet the youthful faces have changed. How much sorrow can you have? It flows like a river of spring water heading east. The affairs of the world are impermanent, circumstances change with time. The heavens and earth shift, and seas turn into fields. After 3 days without seeing someone, look at them with new eyes. Each moment is different from the last, always replacing the old charms with new ones. As I look back, tears often flow. In seeking dreams, my heart is always saddened. Time and space constantly shift, flowers bloom and fall, hard to hold on to, clouds roll and stretch, hard to shape. A sudden shower scatters the petals, high and low, the red flowers fall. Countless elm seeds flutter in vain, unable to buy the spring breeze. The weather varies widely, and waves stretch vast, the heavens have unpredictable winds and clouds, people have unexpected fortunes and misfortunes. 64 cosmic factors create countless, unpredictable transformations, beyond human comprehension. Unfortunately, joy and sorrow, parting and reunion, are always heartless. I watch the raindrops fall before the steps, dripping until daybreak. A day in heaven equals a year on earth, such is the nature of time and space. As time and space change, so must our thoughts and consciousness. Whether it's classic texts or customs, religious doctrines, or the words of wise figures, we must assess their value based on their effectiveness in the present. Clinging to tradition, rigidly holding on to old rules, and always applying the teachings of the ancients to today's actions leads only to hardship and endless suffering. Marital love, celebrated in the human world, holds no place in heaven. The 3-inch golden lotus, bound feet, praised in ancient times has now become a symbol of foolishness and suffering. The spirits of Jingwei filling the sea, Kwa Fu chasing the sun, Yugong moving mountains, and Yuhua mending the sky are commendable in spirit, yet their methods are flawed. The Bible, Quran, Diamond Sutra, and Tao Te Ching struggle to explain life in a way that guides reality, let alone other teachings. What should we do? The only solution is formless thinking, otherwise, we will be dragged down by the past and confused by appearances. As time flies and days slip by like arrows, we must transcend the complex and ever-changing phenomena of the material world to seek the true source of all things. Only then will the sacred mountain feel close at hand. Only through formless thinking can we free ourselves from the entanglement of suffering and reach the ideal shore. Time can only make one grow old, but won't trust sentimental feelings. Long hating the parting at the pavilion, tears fall on spring clothes, easily sobering from wine. Last night, the west wind rushed through the parasol trees, under the faint moonlight, dreams were often disturbed. From where does a single cry of a goose on a high building come? Everyone knows that salvation should be won. But with ambition won't have done. Where are the famous ones of days gone by? In grassy graves they lie now, every one. Everyone knows that salvation should be won. But with their gold and silver, they won't have done. Every day they grumble they haven't enough. When they've enough, it's only then they've gone. Everyone knows that salvation should be won. But with their wives and children they won't have done. The darlings every day protest their love. But once you're dead, they're off with another one. Everyone knows that salvation should be won. But with their sons and grandsons they won't have done. From old till now the unfilial young have paid their fond, blind fathers with a frown. For insights on achieving formless thinking, stay tuned for the next article, 1 + 1 = 0, Formless Thinking, Part 3. 1 + 1 = 0. 1 + 1 = 0, Formless Thinking, 3. Xiefeng. April 13, 2008. The embrace of particle and antiparticle results in instantaneous annihilation, becoming zero. The total energy of the universe is also zero. The hub of 24 parallel worlds is zero. Among the 36 dimensions of space, there is a realm called the zero world. This realm is zero, and the greatest creator is zero. In my advanced cultivation, I introduced a method called returning to zero. To truly return to zero, one must engage in formless thinking. The universe has a balancing mechanism, which originates from zero. This balancing mechanism sets the limits for all things to develop. Within these limits, phenomena manifest positively, beyond them, they turn negative. It is like a pendulum that swings around zero as its center. Once it strays from zero, the pendulum immediately disappears. The numbers of males and females in humanity are also centered around zero. The sum of both genders always equals zero. Once this balance is surpassed, events inevitably occur to restore equilibrium. The number line always expands outward from zero in every direction. From a microscopic perspective, everything appears complex and unpredictable. However, with some analysis, we discover that no matter how many phenomena exist, they can all be categorized into the balanced dualities of yin and yang. Each phenomenon is either one or the other. This realization elevates our understanding to the principle of Taiji. Everything is not as complicated as it seems. The dazzling variety of phenomena is simply the Taiji principle in full expression. Yet, how did the Taiji principle originate? Why can the two extremes not expand infinitely? For instance, why can't either gender in the male-female dynamic infinitely reproduce, creating only boys or only girls? Because there is a zero that restricts them. It is the cyclical movement around zero that creates organic, harmonious, and symmetrical balance, giving rise to beauty, a sense of movement, and a world full of life. Therefore, from a macroscopic perspective, everything is zero, which Buddhism calls emptiness. Understanding this brings immense enjoyment to life, making every moment a paradise. Without this understanding, life becomes passive, pessimistic, and an endless sea of suffering. Why do I urge everyone to go with the flow, adapt to circumstances, act according to nature, and respond spontaneously? It is because of the Taiji dance of zero. When an actor performs outside the director's intentions, both experience suffering. To act according to the law of nature is to enter the Tao. Understanding this principle and following its laws is to achieve Tao. Knowing that 1 plus 1 is equal to 0 allows us to enter the formless realm. Have you ever seen a kaleidoscope? The ever-changing patterns of flowers and shapes are simply variations of 0, 1, and -1. By firmly grasping 0, 1, and -1, one can transcend the dizzying phenomena and get straight to the essence. What's even more fascinating is that anyone can rise from being an actor to becoming a director. Actors are passive, but directors are active. Actors dwell in the realm of necessity, whereas directors live in the realm of freedom. I guide everyone to the Celestial Islands continent to help you enter the realm of freedom, to become directors, and to create a magnificent world of 0, 1, and -1. Entering the realm of formless thinking brings us to the world of zero, the emptiness of Buddhism. What is this world like? It is blissful beyond description. Truly wondrous. Laozi had already glimpsed its mystery, saying, the formless form, the image of no object, is elusive. Elusive and hazy, therein lies the image, hazy and elusive, therein lies the object, deep and dark, therein lies the essence, which is most genuine, within it lies truth. Hence, Buddhism concludes, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. In the spirit of this article, zero is everything, and everything is zero. Yet, simply understanding that zero is everything, and everything is zero, has no practical value. Its true value lies in application, not merely comprehension. Does knowing the principles of riding a bicycle, centered on balance, provide any real benefit if one doesn't ride? No. Does understanding that food is energy bring real value if one doesn't eat? No. So, how do we apply the insight that zero is everything, and everything is zero? Christ Jesus tells us that by giving up oneself, one gains oneself, by seeking oneself, one loses oneself. This is what Buddha Shakyamuni continuously emphasized, no self. Do you wish to become a bodhisattva? To attain Buddhahood? First, let go of yourself and embrace no self. Do not let your heart be attached to forms, sounds, smells, tastes, touch, or dharma. Your heart should arise without attachment. The sage holds on to the one as a model for the world, while celestial beings hold on to zero as a model for the world. Not seeing oneself, one gains clarity, not asserting oneself, one shines, not boasting, one has merit, not being self-important, one endures. Only by being unselfish can one truly become oneself. How can we integrate these principles into our daily lives? Please refer to the wonderful use of zero, formless thinking, 4. The Marvel of Zero, Formless Thinking, Part 4. Xiefeng. July 28, 2008. Zero is like the sun, radiating boundlessly. Zero is a flower, vivid and fragrant. Zero is a clear spring, pure and refreshing. Zero is the Elysium world, filled with boundless joy. Everything begins from zero, everything finds peace in zero. The myriad forms give rise to spirit, this is the origin of zero. The spirit transcends all forms, this is the dance of zero. Without zero, nothing exists, by returning to zero, one gains everything. The infinitely compassionate Buddha, Shakyamuni, teaches us to live without attachments, without attachment to self, others, beings, or lifespan, without attachment to dharma or even to non-dharma. Do not let your mind linger on what is seen, what is heard, what is smelled, or what is touched. Do not let your mind be bound by laws, principles, doctrines, concepts, customs, habits, or rules. Simply put, let the mind be unbound. What does it mean for the mind to be unbound? It means allowing the mind not to linger on anything perceived through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, or mind. Further, it means not lingering on material things, nations, political parties, religions, family, companies, groups, relatives, friends, lovers, enemies, good people, bad people, positive events, negative events, the past, the future, joy, resentment, wealth, fame, status, favorable situations, adversity, success, failure, happiness, suffering, morality, precepts, natural laws, principles, and so on. Formless thinking means letting everything return to zero. The initial feeling of returning to zero is a knowing smile, the intermediate feeling is indescribable wonder, and the advanced experience is entering the Elysium world. If we do not have these sensations, it shows we have not truly returned to zero. The Buddha said, to be free of all forms is to attain Buddhahood. Simply put, when we become formless and return to zero, we become Buddhas. The theory of becoming a Buddha is this simple. But the path to Buddhahood is exceedingly difficult. Formless thinking is returning to zero. How can we marvelously utilize zero? Let me offer 3 paths to experience the wonderful realm of returning to zero. 1. Go to a vast desert, stand amidst it, gaze forward, and if you can free your mind from attachments, quiet your breath, and focus your spirit, you may suddenly feel a sense of emptiness, temporarily forgetting or completely ignoring your own existence. You blend into the desert, and suddenly, the self dissolves, and the mind opens up, giving rise to a wonderful sensation. At this moment, you have entered the Buddha's realm. You may also experience this by going to towering mountains, expansive grasslands, or visiting the grand waterfalls at the Canada-US border or the Zimbabwe-Zambia border, standing by the sea, watching the sunrise or the sea of clouds from the peaks of great mountains, or sitting by a surging river. If you can clear your mind and quiet your breath, at a certain instant, you may completely ignore your own existence, experiencing a sublime, blissful feeling that transports you to the Buddha's land. 2. During the experience of sexual climax, one might momentarily disregard the existence of the other person and forget oneself entirely, sensing only that everything is so wonderful, I feel as if I am in paradise. It feels like an awakening, the beginning of life. An indescribable, almost unbearable ecstasy. A surge of intense fire, consuming everything, wonderful beyond words. It's like leaving my body, leaving my mind, without concern for what usually seems so important. In this perfect, ethereal realm, everything feels exhilarating, lifting the soul, pure, fresh, peaceful, beautiful. One may weep with joy, exclaiming, God, I love you. This is the Buddha land. 3. Practices such as meditation, contemplation, yoga, and life attenuance, transcendence from the physical body meditation method, can also lead us to a formless state. Especially when entering the 4th or 5th stage of meditation, one achieves a return to zero, a state of entering the Elysium world. The mysteries of this will be further explained during the practice of life attenuation meditation. The above are ways anyone can experience the bliss of formlessness, allowing us to understand what the Elysium world is and what it is like to become a Buddha. However, these experiences are fleeting, they are but brief flashes of our Buddha light. How can we experience and feel such wonder continuously, eternally? The optimal approach is formless thinking. The above paths to bliss happen because, unknowingly, we enter a formless thinking state. If our minds remain attached to something at that moment, we cannot experience bliss. The question now is, for those of us living in this world with endless troubles, how can we free ourselves from them and enter the state of formless zero? The wondrous use of zero. Make yourself zero. Step aside, imagine that you do not exist. Everything has nothing to do with me. I do not exist, yet the earth continues to spin, mountains endure, rivers flow. Everything moves within the Tao, each thing governed by its own rules or natural order. Every person follows their unique life path and fate. Why should I worry? Why should I be anxious? All things are fleeting illusions, like fireworks or passing clouds. Life, death, and existence unfold naturally, go with the flow, transform with fate. If it's interesting, I'll join in, if not, I return to zero. Whether the heavens collapse and the earth shatters, whether the ground quakes or mountains sway. Whether people are parted by life or death, or the moon waxes and wanes. Whether there's theft, deceit, murder, or arson. Whether businesses fail or organizations collapse. Whether trade stagnates or the economy declines. Whether someone hangs themselves, jumps into a river, or crashes into a wall. Whether love fades or an affair begins. Whether the lights flash, the wine flows, and people revel or lose themselves in indulgence. Whether someone is demoted, imprisoned, or utterly defeated. Whether disputes arise, grievances deepen, truth is distorted, or morality is questioned. None of this concerns me. The wondrous use of zero, leave humanity and enter the celestial realm ahead of time. The rise and fall of the world is none of my concern, the fate of nations, religions, parties, families, why should I care? Flowers may wither, let them wither, rain may fall, let it fall, winds may blow, let them blow, divorce may come, let it come, not wanting to live. Well, that's a choice. The wondrous use of zero, make yourself shapeless. Let clouds gather and disperse, flowers bloom and fade, seas ebb and flow. Watch the play of humanity as if watching a movie. Step outside the three realms, beyond the five elements. Others may fight, I don't fight. Others may seize, I don't seize. Others may covet, I don't covet. If it's amusing, I appear, if it's troubling, I disappear. The wondrous use of zero. The greatest creator is zero. I return to zero. I am one with the greatest creator. The greatest creator is eternal, and I am eternal. The greatest creator owns everything, and I have everything. I give everything to the greatest creator, success, failure, gain, and loss, let it not burden my heart. Birth, death, and separation come as they will. I am empty yet possess everything. I do nothing but accomplish everything, lacking in form but adapting to all forms, shapeless but filling all spaces. Insults come, ridicule comes, scorn comes, slander comes, attacks come, suffering comes, right and wrong come, poverty comes, sorrow comes, trouble comes, death comes, I return to zero. Joy comes, freedom comes, happiness comes, beauty comes, I emerge from zero. Birds fly high in the sky, fish leap freely in the vast sea. The realm is of my own making, moving freely in harmony. Summary of Formless Thinking. Formlessness is a realm of bliss and wonder. To become a celestial or a Buddha, to enter the Elysium world, one must first achieve formlessness. To achieve formlessness, one must adopt formless thinking, and the best path to formless thinking is the formless vessel crafted by the Buddha, Shakyamuni, the Diamond Sutra. From time to time, by allowing ourselves to return to zero, we can transcend the world and escape worldly entanglements to experience the wondrous formless state. Everything begins from zero. If we do not enter a state of zero, we cannot begin life in the heavenly realm and will remain forever in the cycle of lower-level life spaces. I have explained the first 7 steps of the 8-step thinking ladder. As a guide, I have led everyone to the edge of the heavenly realm. The Buddha holds a flower, and Mahakassapa smiles. The final step, holographic thinking, must be grasped through your own meditation and insight. Holographic thinking is the hidden mystery of creation, every detail is divine power. Jesus spoke in parables, never revealing the divine secrets. Buddha Shakyamuni did not write down his teachings and left mysteries unsaid. Laozi hovered on the edges, refusing to break through. As Dayform Buddha, I too can only lead to this point, for revealing these secrets would disrupt the balance of yin and yang in the cosmos, and those who disclose divine secrets are the universe's greatest sinners and face utter destruction. The sages have said, "The saw cuts through wood, and water wears down stone, the seeker of the Tao must apply effort. When the fruit ripens, it falls, when the water fills, it flows, the Tao reveals itself to those who embrace the divine order of nature. Using consciousness to transform cause and effect. Xiefeng. June 12, 2008. A woman in her late 20s, holding her 1-year-old daughter, jumped from a building to her death. The reason? She returned home to find her husband in bed with another woman. Was this suicide? No, it was homicide. Who killed her? Not her husband, nor the other woman, it was traditional thinking that killed her. To avoid this outcome, the best way is to transform one's consciousness. If this woman had thought, my husband has had an affair, it's not a big deal. At worst, I'll divorce him and find someone better, or perhaps, fine. You broke the rules, so can I. I'll let you off, and you'll let me off, it's only fair, the result could have been different. Without transforming consciousness, cause and effect inevitably occur. By changing consciousness, however, cause and effect can be altered. Moving from the realm of inevitability into the realm of freedom requires a transformation of consciousness and a breakthrough from the confines of traditional thinking. People on earth live under the influence of the thought patterns passed down by their predecessors. If one cannot escape these constraints, one can never attain enlightenment or Buddhahood. Take, for example, the saying, of all unfilial acts, having no descendants is the greatest. This thought pattern has bound people for thousands of years, pressuring parents to coerce their children into marriage and parenthood, creating the belief that being childless is the gravest unfilial act. People struggle within this entanglement, unable to break free. It burdens those without children with heavy mental and emotional stress, along with societal pressure and discrimination. Without breaking free from this way of thinking, the cycle of marriage, family, and childbearing inevitably continues. However, one could think instead, the Buddha said the human world is a sea of suffering. By having children, I would only bring them into this sea of suffering. That would not be a blessing for them. Instead, I will cultivate myself first, reach the 1,000-year world, and have children there in the heavenly kingdom, where they will truly be blessed. Thinking this way breaks the chains of all unfilial acts, having no descendants is the greatest, allowing one to live a life free of guilt and in peace. Another example is the saying, of all evil deeds, sexual indulgence is the worst. This is another powerful mental construct. Originally, sexual indulgence meant excess, but it has been narrowly redefined to mean sexual behavior outside of marriage, labeling it as a sin and even the worst of sins. As a result, one of life's most beautiful experiences is erased, forcing people into secrecy. If they do indulge, they carry the burden of self-repression and torment, resulting in countless human tragedies. But what if we thought, romantic love is a precious gift from the greatest creator? Enjoying it aligns with the Creator's will and is in harmony with natural law. Appreciating the beauty of sexuality is a way of showing respect and gratitude to the Creator. Life is fleeting, flowers wither, and youth fades. As long as it brings joy without disturbing others or society, why should we repress or torment ourselves? Thinking this way breaks the restriction of sexual indulgence as the worst of sins, expands life's possibilities, increases freedom, and transforms cause and effect. The key to transforming cause and effect lies in consciousness, not in language or actions, because language and actions are controlled and directed by consciousness. If consciousness does not change, the trajectory of life remains unaltered, fate remains fixed, and cause and effect inevitably occur. Happiness or suffering will manifest as predestined. However, if consciousness changes, the trajectory shifts, fate alters, and the outcomes, effects, that were expected will not materialize. For instance, if our consciousness is set on going to New York, we will inevitably find ourselves on the path to New York, and sooner or later, we will arrive there. But if, along the way, we change our consciousness and decide to go to London instead, all aspects of the journey to New York are instantly altered, and the outcome of arriving in New York will no longer occur. Whether one moves toward hell or heaven depends entirely on their consciousness. Trajectories can be altered in an instant, and so can fate. Transforming one's fixed consciousness changes everything instantly. As the saying goes, heaven and hell are only a thought apart. The greatest challenge is how to change one's consciousness, where to direct it, and how to transform it, questions that lead into broader and more complex considerations. The Life Genuine value states, walk in the way of the greatest creator. The purpose of life is to pursue joy, happiness, freedom, and fulfillment. The purpose of life is to strive for the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. This is a form of consciousness. Once this consciousness is established, our views on life, the world, and existence transform, and our previous life trajectory is completely altered. By pursuing the sun, we escape the darkness, breaking through many traditional patterns of thought. The sufferings that might have arisen are no longer brought to fruition. The essence of transforming consciousness lies in transforming thinking. Without changing thinking, consciousness cannot become clear and orderly. If consciousness is chaotic and unclear, life will inevitably be confused and directionless. Thinking progresses through 8 levels, from material thinking, imaginal thinking, associative thinking, illusory thinking, visualized thinking, to Tai Chi thinking, formless thinking, and holographic thinking. Each level is more powerful than the last, with each possessing greater transformative potential. When one attains formless thinking, they achieve enlightenment, escape the constraints of human thought, and enter a more liberated and expansive state of existence. This raises a question: can the cause and effect of actions such as corruption or eating meat be transformed by a shift in consciousness? The core of formless thinking lies in the absence of self-form and the absence of all forms. Even the forms of dharma and non-dharma do not exist. Thus, so-called forms such as corruption or eating meat fundamentally do not exist. Since they do not exist, there is no cause and effect. The root of cause and effect is consciousness. When the cause within consciousness disappears, the effect cannot arise, effectively cutting off the source. It is akin to switching off the main power supply. Once disconnected, all appliances lose their function instantly. I cannot elaborate further, as it would reveal too much. The rest must be realized through personal insight. Now we must be superhuman. Dayform Buddha. November 18, 2008. The Chanyuan Celestials, armed with Life Genuine values, are no longer ordinary people, they are superhumans. Our ultimate, big boss is the greatest creator. With the greatest creator as our foundation and guided by Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, Sage Laozi, and Prophet Muhammad, we represent the most civilized, exceptional, rational, and wise beings on earth. In the future, humanity will be led and managed by the Chanyuan Celestials. Can we rely on the United Nations? Or on nations like the United States, China, Japan, Germany, or the United Kingdom? Can religions such as Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, or Hinduism guide us? What about political parties or spiritual leaders? None of these can truly lead humanity forward. Only Life Genuine and the Chanyuan Celestials are capable of taking on this responsibility. Therefore, every celestial must become a superhuman, capable of leading as a president in their own right. To usher in the Life Genuine era, a world where the worthy are not overlooked, the world is one family, no one picks up what isn't theirs on the road, and doors are left unlocked at night, where harmony prevails, and everyone lives joyfully, freely, and happily, we must step up as leaders. All powers must yield to Life Genuine, and all people must live according to the guidance of the Chanyuan Celestials. What people understand, we will implement; what they do not understand, we will enforce. There is no room for negotiation. Humanity has endured millennia of suffering. This cannot continue. From the hands of the Chanyuan Celestials, a new world, a new era, a new way of life, and a new mode of living must emerge. The relationship between Life Genuine as a whole and each individual celestial is akin to that of a transformer. Together, the celestials form a colossal entity; separately, they are self-sufficient, functional units. Every celestial must now become a Xiafeng. Within Life Genuine, Xiefeng continues to guide the celestials. Outside Life Echanuan, each celestial serves as a guide to the world. The current 500 celestials effectively embody 500 Xiefengs. We have organized 800 Chanyuan values from the Chanyuan corpus. These values not only define the worldview, values, and outlook on life and life of the celestials but must also serve as the guiding framework for all of humanity. We will spread these ideas globally. According to the three elements of consciousness, structure, and energy, Life Echanuan's values represent the consciousness. From this consciousness, we must create a corresponding structure. Without structure, energy cannot be anchored. As outlined in the Life Echanuan overview, this structure includes a general director as the world president and 256 branch director as regional governors. Its operational program follows the design by the Yang Saint. Currently, Dayform Buddha oversees consciousness, Foshan Buddha handles overall leadership, Qiankuan Buddha designs the program, and Taiji Buddha oversees its operation, with each celestial finding their appropriate position within this framework. Good intentions alone are insufficient. Effective measures and methods are essential. History has shown us this. Buddhism and Christianity had good intentions, but without proper measures and methods, their impact was limited. Similarly, achieving the Life Echanuan era through force is impossible, as evidenced by the downfall of the Third Reich in Germany and Japan. Violent class struggles have also proven ineffective, as the failure of global communist movements illustrates. Authoritarian rule through religious governance is not the answer either, as shown by the current state of the Islamic world. Even democratic debate and voting fail to produce effective results, as demonstrated by the conditions of the United Nations and the United States. What we need is unified will combined with individual joy and freedom, an approach aligned with Life Echanuan's values. Faced with a fragmented humanity, how can we bring about unity of will? First, we must recognize that the era of humanity's future is undoubtedly the Life Echanuan era. This transformation is an inevitable, objective process, not subject to individual will. No person, organization, or nation can halt this trend. Our role as celestials is to facilitate this transformation. We do not rely on weapons, battles, or sacrifice. We implement change as if playing a household game, quietly and effortlessly, sitting, standing, lying down, or simply thinking. We eliminate potential threats from afar and address hidden dangers imperceptibly. Let me illustrate this with a recent example, verified by Shanghai Buddha. Some time ago, Xiaoxi was slandering Life Echanuan and me, Xiefeng, on Bushuan. I told Shanghai Buddha, this individual is too brazen. Let's give him 3 days of angina as a reminder. Soon after, Xiaoxi disappeared from Bushuan. To confirm the miracle, I wrote an article titled Without Xiaoxi's Arrogance, I'm Feeling Lonely and posted a follow-up comment in our community asking if Xiaoxi's heart pain had subsided. A few days later, it was confirmed that Xiaoxi had indeed suffered heart issues. This is the power of thinking. I can cause blindness, deafness, bone fractures, illnesses, accidents, or even make individuals vanish. Those who oppose Life Echanuan will be silenced, and if necessary, driven to madness. I hope all celestials will develop this ability. Cleaning up the trash shouldn't fall on my shoulders alone. Together, we can create a beautiful homeland. Good remains good, even if it appears evil, evil remains evil, even if it appears good. As long as we uphold Life Echanuan's values and act for the Life Echanuan era, all we do is righteous and correct. When practicing this mental power, begin with weaker targets. For example, make mice relocate, compel someone to turn around unexpectedly, or cause someone to laugh or cry without reason. Gradually, align the world around you with your will. As a rule, avoid harming life unless absolutely necessary. Remember, all forces, material or non-material, have counterforces. Do not let these counterforces backfire. The theme of this article is that we must now become superhuman. We must escape the sea of suffering ourselves and save others from it. If we do not become superhuman, we are like clay Buddhas crossing a river, unable to protect ourselves. How to become superhuman? Start with those around you. Gradually influence everyone you interact with to live according to your will, the values of life genuine. Confront obstacles by removing them mentally. Envision yourself piloting an airplane, crashing through barriers, not physically, but mentally. For kind, honest, simple, hardworking, and trustworthy individuals, offer them the greatest possible freedom and happiness. For the wicked, enforce the greatest possible constraints. Treat the righteous with righteous methods, and the wicked with strict methods. Never treat the righteous with strict methods, and never treat the wicked with righteous methods. When dealing with loved ones, use gentle persuasion to keep them happy every day, and exercise the greatest patience in waiting for their transformation. Avoid arguments and confrontation. Instead, take on more household chores, fulfill your responsibilities, and do your utmost to free yourself from any lingering concerns or attachments. Repay any debts as soon as possible, so your heart will be free of guilt. In this way, when the opportunity arises, we can depart for the celestial islands continent at any time. Remember, life is merely a brief journey of life through the human world, like playing a game. Incorporate everything into this game and play along. Congratulations to everyone for climbing over another great mountain. Submitting your homework was one such mountain. For those who have crossed it, let us continue our playful and joyful banter as we travel together toward the unfamiliar and distant lands. As for those who have not, let them stay on the other side of the mountain. Their ancestors, generation after generation, remained there their entire lives. Let them follow in their ancestors' footsteps. But as for us, we shall no longer be trapped in the cycle of reincarnation. New perspective, Chanyuan celestials are superhumans. Dayform Buddha. November 19, 2008. First, I approach this topic with holographic-based thinking. When you encounter something you don't understand, resist the urge to dismiss it outright. It's similar to when I first claimed that romantic love is a precious gift from the greatest creator that humans should fully enjoy. Many couldn't comprehend this idea at the time. Superhuman philosophy originates from the German philosopher Nietzsche. Because Nietzsche declared, God is dead, and eventually died of schizophrenia, his philosophy of the Übermensch was almost entirely rejected. However, I want to bring Nietzsche back into focus, offer a fresh perspective on his philosophy, and encourage every Chanyuan celestial to become a superhuman. The core of Nietzsche's Übermensch philosophy is to re-evaluate all traditional moral and cultural values and to build a new value system based on a fresh worldview, outlook on life, and concept of values. The superhuman embodies a new morality distinct from traditional and popular norms. A superhuman is someone who exemplifies the will to live, possesses immense creativity, and is a strong figure in life. They transcend themselves and the weak, fully expressing their individuality and governing the mediocre. The superhuman becomes the benchmark for truth and morality, the creator of norms and values. Superhumans are free, self-sufficient, and confident, capable of shouldering any burden and facing hardships with courage and perseverance, never giving up until their goals are achieved. Superhumans face humanity's greatest pain and understand the greatest suffering and hope of humanity. They grow up in adverse environments, and suffering, pain, and trials can only make them stronger. They are not weak or petty but rich, great, and complete beings. Humanity does not need despotic tyrants or fascists, but it absolutely needs superhumans. Current reality. Take a look at our world today. The Chanyuan values bring joy, freedom, and happiness to individuals and offer hope for humanity as a whole. Yet, how many people have responded to this vision in the years we've shared it? How many are willing to contribute their talents and wisdom to the creation of the life of Chanyuan era? How many are truly committed to upholding and practicing these values? Only a handful, just a few dozen Chanyuan celestials. Most people are struggling in the sea of suffering, hoping others will be honest, selfless contributors, saints, while they themselves are neither honest nor interested in serving others or society. They simply seek to maximize their own interests, fame, status, wealth, beauty, power, freedom, and happiness. They either turn a blind eye to noble ideals or attack them outright. Reasoning with such ignorance proves futile, as evidenced by the millions of words we've spoken to no avail. Pure kindness and forgiveness toward the ignorant can harm them and degrade society. The only solution is for superhumans to lead. Take Zimbabwe as an example. With 80% unemployment, people are struggling to survive, let alone enjoy life. Is the problem solely with Mugabe's regime? No. It's an issue with the entire populace. Delve deeper, and you'll find 95% of the population are natural-born tricksters, thieves, looters, insatiable parasites who want something for nothing. Democracy will not work with such people, and reason is ineffective. Democracy and reason are ineffective for such groups. Even among the 50% identifying as Christians, their faith seems confined to church gatherings, as outside, they act selfishly. Such people require superhuman leadership, otherwise, suffering will persist indefinitely. Leading humanity. Instead of letting others lead us, we should lead them. Instead of being hurt or oppressed by ignorance, let us inspire fear, envy, and admiration in those who are primitive and uninformed. When Jesus Christ walked the earth, he should have used divine power and superhuman will to unite humanity, rather than relying solely on preaching. When Buddha Shakyamuni lived, he should have unified the world through spiritual power, not just compassion. When Laozi shared his wisdom, he shouldn't have solely advocated natural law and non-contention, but emphasized the principle of oneness. When Prophet Muhammad established his vision, he should have eradicated the institutions of family, political parties, religion, and nations, rather than merely conquering cities and territories. Marx, Lenin, and Mao Zedong preached the abolition of private property and the implementation of communism, yet they left the family, the most entrenched bastion of private property, intact. This failure led to the ultimate collapse of the communist movement. The nature of humanity. Most people fear strength and exploit weakness. They covet fame, wealth, beauty, and power, while masking their desires behind a facade of morality. When they fail to achieve something, they dismiss it as worthless. Such people are selfish and hypocritical. If you disguise yourself as a beggar and plead for food, you will see people's true faces. Even those who are pitiful themselves will look down on you with disdain. Yet, if you pose as a masked bandit wielding a blade, even the most prideful will drop to their knees, begging for mercy and offering their possessions. History offers stark examples. During the Second Sino-Japanese War, we have seen footage of just 2 or 3 Japanese soldiers subduing dozens of Chinese people. These Chinese individuals, who were adept at squabbling and scheming against their own brothers and sisters, turned into cowards when faced with a formidable enemy. Such people should not be treated as equals, they should be governed from a position of superiority. One must elevate oneself to the level of a superhuman to lead and command them. Building a strong inner circle. Even within Life Genuine, when some individuals slander, defame, or attack Life Genuine, particularly Xiafeng, a few of my brothers and sisters fail to muster even the slightest courage to speak up. They dare not make a sound or stand their ground. These are the same people who, in ordinary times, talk a great game, their words more impressive than a song, but when faced with real challenges, they become dispirited and spineless. I have nothing but disdain for those who lack integrity and backbone. Though Life Genuine is not a political or religious organization, we are bound as family, brothers, sisters, and lovers. If anyone among us is bullied, our first response should not be to analyze who is right or wrong but to collectively defend them. Only by fostering this unity can Life Genuine accumulate the energy and deterrence needed to guide humanity toward the Chanyuan era. Otherwise, we are no better than a pile of scattered sand. Look at the Muslim world, the Italian Mafia, or Mao's China. Who dared challenge them? Life Genuine must surpass them all in excellence, discipline, and strength. Leadership beyond nations. Nations should not exist. The most civilized and wise should lead humanity and its regions. When I asked grassroots Zimbabweans whether life was better under white rule or their own governance, they unanimously said it was better under white leadership. This proves colonialism was correct. National independence and self-governance are regressions in human civilization. Even Hitler's core philosophy was sound: the world should be unified and managed by the most capable. His methods were secondary to this vision. Life-Chanyan members, or Chanyuan Celestials, are not bound to any existing nationality. We are a new kind of people, armed with the way of the greatest creator, a superior human race destined to lead the world, purify humanity, and restore Earth. We are a new breed of humanity. We are superhumans. When faced with challenges, we are fearless. Even in the face of death, we remain unshaken, our expressions unchanging, our hearts steady, our eyes fixed, daring to confront whatever comes our way. Blow me up if you dare. If you can't, but you so much as lift a bomb against me, I'll make sure you're the one who gets blown up. Action over complaints. Many lament the injustice of the world. But what good does shouting about it do? For thousands of years, people have cried out, yet has the world become fairer? The oppressed are like blades of grass, endlessly harvested and regrown, just as corrupt officials rise one after another. Complaints and dissatisfaction achieve nothing. If you truly want to change the world, strap on an atomic bomb and blow it all up. Can't do that? Then either conform to the system or refuse to compromise and take real action. But stop indulging in empty talk. How do we change it? Shinkuan Buddha not only clarifies the root of the issue but also puts forward a series of measures and methods. These involve creating a new operational framework for society based on the Life-Chanyan values. First, we must integrate ourselves into this structure, test it, and perfect it. This is one of the main purposes of building the second home. Reassessing Nietzsche. Now, let's return to Nietzsche, who proposed the philosophy of the superhuman. I have endeavored to immerse myself in his thoughts and found that he has been widely misunderstood. At the age of 25, he was appointed as a professor of classical philology at the University of Basel, a role that highlighted his extraordinary talent and brilliance. This alone proves that his mind was not chaotic but exceptionally sharp. He confronted the collapse of traditional values in his era and sought to redefine the meaning of life. Today, we recognize that many traditional human values, life perspectives, and worldviews are incorrect, inverted, and do not align with the way of the greatest creator. Over a century ago, Nietzsche loudly proclaimed the need to reevaluate all values. He was keenly aware of the flaws and shortcomings in traditional values and proposed their reassessment. His perspective stemmed from a vantage point far removed from the constraints of his time, similar to how I view humanity's current values from the coordinate system and perspective of the thousand-year world. Nietzsche's insights were ahead of their time. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, Superman, was his way of envisioning individuals who could transcend the flawed values, life perspectives, and worldviews of humanity to create something new. This idea was profoundly correct. Even Adolf Hitler was influenced by Nietzsche's Superman philosophy, using it as inspiration for his own actions. When Nietzsche declared, "God is dead," his words did not reflect a denial of God's existence. Instead, he sought to emphasize that humanity could not rely solely on God to resolve its problems. Nietzsche urged people to take initiative and harness their willpower to actively confront humanity's challenges. He grew frustrated with those who continued to pray and wait for divine intervention while doing nothing themselves. This frustration led him to the provocative statement, "God is dead," to shock humanity into action. Furthermore, Nietzsche was critical of Christianity and rejected the God depicted in the Bible, which also contributed to his statement. Why did Nietzsche ultimately succumb to mental illness and die? The primary cause was his long-term inability to gain understanding or acceptance of his ideas, coupled with the crushing loneliness this imposed on him. This isolation led to his psychological collapse. It was not due to contradictions in his philosophy or a lack of clarity in his thinking. However, it's possible that his fate might have been different had he not uttered the controversial phrase, "God is dead." That said, we cannot adopt all of Nietzsche's ideas wholesale, particularly his extreme measures. Instead, we focus on his notion of the Übermensch because humanity today urgently needs individuals with extraordinary qualities to resolve the current chaos. This article ends here. Its perspective might seem strange and unsettling at first. I hope you hold on to your current views for now, and will take the time to analyze and explore them together. The concept and connotation of Chanyuan superhumans. Xiefeng. November 20, 2008. In human society, governance should not fall into the hands of despots or fascists, nor should it be managed by elected mediocrities. It should instead be led by individuals or groups with superhuman qualities, those who are the most civilized, outstanding, selfless, and saintly-minded, with an iron will. At present, the Chanyuan Celestials of Life Changyuan embody these qualities. Chanyuan Celestials understand and uphold the 800 Chanyuan values. These values represent the essence of human wisdom and the highest moral standards. They are profound and indispensable. Therefore, human society should naturally be led by the Chanyuan Celestials of Life Changyuan. This is non-negotiable. Whether humanity agrees or understands, it must comply. Those who are willing to embrace this will enter the era of Life Changyuan, living lives of joy, freedom, and happiness. Those who refuse are akin to viruses within human civilization and will be purified without hesitation. The goal of the Chanyuan Superman is to dissolve the structures of nations and families, retire religions and political parties from history's stage, and unify humanity. The social order will be founded on the principle that the talented will be put to good use, and the world will be one family. Harmony will reign, and everyone will live freely and happily. The Chanyuan values will become deeply rooted in human consciousness, ultimately bringing about the ideal of universal harmony. Good, hardworking, honest, and trustworthy people deserve to live joyfully, freely, and happily. If such individuals cannot, then society itself is immoral. Its system is driven by Satan. Thousands of years of human history have shown that humanity has been ruled by Satan and his agents. But now, the kingdom of the greatest creator is descending. All past views on life, the view of life, the worldview, and values must be completely abolished and replaced with the Chanyuan values. These will be implemented and managed by Chanyuan superhumans. To become a Chanyuan Superman, one must first understand the 800 Chanyuan values. These values form the foundation of superhuman qualities. Without them, one cannot be considered a superhuman, such a person would be merely a brute. Once one fully understands the Chanyuan values, one becomes a true superhuman. A Chanyuan Superman should embody the following principles. Devotion only to the greatest creator, serving only the creator's will, and following the creator's path. Reject all paths that contradict the creator, whether those of gods, demons, or humanity itself. Anything that goes against the creator's will must be overthrown and eradicated. Reject nations, religions, political parties, and families. Anything that upholds these institutions must be destroyed. Hold firm to the belief, I am right. No matter who you are, follow my lead. Every Chanyuan celestial should think this way. Either you follow me, or we part ways. I will never compromise or bend to your will. My words must be obeyed, whether understood or not. Do not expect me to submit to anyone else's wishes. Do not argue with me. As a Chanyuan celestial, I am inherently correct, and you are inherently wrong. Keep your arguments to yourself in my presence. When faced with threats or death, smile calmly and without fear. I am invulnerable, protected by divine light, the Dharma, the Creator's blessing, and my unbreakable will. Threats and death hold no power over me. Do not provoke me, for if you do, I will seek revenge tenfold, chasing you from the heavens to the underworld. I will show no mercy, for you have wronged me. Life or death? If you choose life, follow me. If you choose death, go your way. These are the essential qualities of every Chanyuan superhuman. Methods and strategies of the Chanyuan superhuman. A Chanyuan superhuman's methods are flexible and diverse, adapting as necessary. As long as I succeed and achieve my goals, ensuring the world revolves around me, I will use any means, even those traditionally deemed evil, if they serve my purpose. However, I am wise and strategic. I will always protect myself first. I will act only when my safety is assured. I avoid duels, direct confrontation, or open and covert conflicts, preferring to operate invisibly so that my opponents cannot defend themselves or predict my actions. I adhere to the principle of flexibility. I have no rigid rules, my loyalty lies only with the Creator, those stronger than me, and those who are kind, hardworking, honest, and trustworthy. I do not keep my word with mediocrity, ignorant people, worldly people, or those who are barbaric. I constantly adapt, shifting between truth and falsehood, reality and illusion. While my external methods may seem inconstant, my commitment to the Creator's path, my goal of establishing the Life-Chanyuan era for humanity and my faith and determination to journey toward the Celestial Islands continent will never waver. Everything else will evolve with changes in time, space, environment, and people. I will never let my mind become rigid or my actions follow a fixed, inflexible pattern, nor will I ever be stuck in one way of thinking or acting. The path to achieving the Chanyuan superhuman's purpose. Chanyuan superhumans are like lions, tigers, and leopards. They are capable of working together as a team but can also act independently, displaying strength and freedom. The relationship between superhumans is one of mutual cooperation and assistance, much like a pride of lions or a pack of tigers. However, unlike herds of sheep or zebras, which, when gathered together, may appear grand and overwhelming, capable of crushing anything, but once faced with a fierce lion, scatter like birds and beasts, only thinking of fleeing, this is not the way of Chanyuan superhumans. Chanyuan superhumans must view the Life-Chanyuan community as their unbreakable fortress, relying on this collective strength and using the Chanyuan values as their guide for action. Without these, even the strongest lion will be lost and overwhelmed among wolves. Nietzsche's superhuman is inevitably solitary, but the Chanyuan superhuman is never alone. We are a collective of superhumans who flirt with one another, entertain ourselves, and enjoy games together. In response to questions from Tiangong Celestial, I have written the above. I want to emphasize that viewing the Chanyuan superhuman concept from only one perspective can lead to misconceptions and may even seem contradictory to my previous teachings. As I have always said, do not rush to conclusions. Take your time to explore and observe, for this is the holographic mechanism. I firmly believe that in time, you will gain full clarity and understanding. Essence of sexuality, in response to Tiangong Celestial's question. Xiefeng. Question: I once practiced the integration of all practices exercise. In the advanced stages, the focus was nearly entirely on cultivating sexual energy, such as joy meditation and dual cultivation of yin and yang. I would like to ask the guide if nature here refers to sexual nature, and whether seeing one's nature and becoming a Buddha through nature implies sexual nature. Is it the same as the sexual nature we discuss in Life-Chanyuan, or is there a difference? Please explain in detail. Answer: nature is structure. It is both the structure of all things and of life itself. The nature of all things, including all living beings, is determined by their structure. The structure determines the nature. The nature of water is different from that of a mountain. Human nature is distinct from animal nature, male from female, divine nature from Buddha nature, cloud nature from stone nature, sheep nature from wolf nature, night blooming jasmine from tulips, willow trees from peach trees, and so forth. Every entity's nature varies according to its structure. Every entity has a nature. As long as a structure exists, nature will emerge from it. Even objects created by humans possess a nature, as they all have structures. To change nature, the structure must first be altered. When the structure changes, so does the nature. In nature, alloys do not naturally occur, but when elements like carbon are added to certain metals, they form alloys, altering the original nature of the metal. Nature is Tathagata, which represents the intrinsic, original nature. All nature originates from the consciousness of the greatest creator, and thus, the creator is the source of all nature. Nature is diverse and multifaceted, but regardless of the different types of nature in the universe, their total quantity and quality balance to zero. This is similar to the five elements, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, which mutually generate and restrict one another, maintaining universal symmetry. If this balance is broken, the universe would perish. Who maintains this symmetrical balance? The answer is, the Tao. Human beings possess both heavenly nature and acquired habits. Heavenly nature is the original nature, while acquired habits are formed ingrained habits and behavior. Heavenly nature was established by the Creator, while acquired habits result from human choice. Cleansing acquired habits to return to heavenly nature aligns with the greatest Creator's Tao, which leads to peace and happiness. Love is the core of nature. Every nature inherently possesses love, determined by its structure. Different structures, and thus different natures, express love differently. There are three primary expressions of love: through giving, absorbing, or mutual benefit. Some insects and animals express love through giving, even at the cost of their lives, like certain spiders. Others, like wolves and birds, express love through absorption. Wolves eat sheep, and birds eat insects. Human love mainly combines both giving and absorbing, while only the celestial beings of the 10,000-year world and the Elysium world practice love as mutual benefit. You mentioned focusing on sexual energy cultivation in advanced practice, which is correct. Both the Taoist dual cultivation of yin and yang and the Tantric dual cultivation of male and female are correct. The core of this practice is learning mutual benefit. If the practice focuses solely on the yin side or the yang side, it becomes a deviation. The true test of dual cultivation is mutual benefit. If both benefit, it is righteous, but if only one benefits, it is a deviation from the righteous path. Both advanced sexual energy cultivation and dual cultivation of yin and yang involve absorbing energy through sexuality. I have often said that consciousness, structure, and energy are the keys to uncovering all mysteries, and sexuality is no exception. That nature, in sexuality is indeed the same as in seeing one's nature and attaining Buddhahood, and it is also the same nature we speak of in Life Genuine. The purpose of Life Genuine's crossing the river of sexuality aims to transcend patterns of giving or absorbing in sexual relationships, striving instead for mutual benefit. True dual cultivation for mutual benefit is a matter of intention and spirit, not physical contact or intercourse, and therein lies a profound mystery. Ultimately, all spiritual practices from all paths lead to Tathagata, to a return to simplicity, and to the restoration of heavenly nature. This is correct: wolves must eat sheep, and sheep must eat grass. If wolves stopped eating sheep or sheep stopped eating grass, it would go against heavenly nature and the Tao. Many practices advocate turning inward, essentially to rediscover one's heavenly nature or original nature. However, Life Genuine is different. We are not aiming to return to our original nature or to Tathagata, as this could reveal we were originally wolves or sheep. So, regardless of what one's original nature might have been, our goal is to cultivate the nature of super-celestial beings. How do we cultivate the nature of super-celestial beings? By transforming the non-material structure of human life into the non-material structure of super-celestial life. Once the structure is transformed, super-celestial nature is attained. How do we transform this structure? Through consciousness, by replacing human consciousness with super-celestial consciousness. And how do we develop this consciousness? Through transforming thinking, using thinking to attain wisdom. Both the Chanyuan corpus and Xiafeng corpus revolve closely around cultivating super-celestial consciousness. Some sections of the Xiafeng corpus may seem overly ornate or embellished. These serve to attract readers and test the faith and wisdom of Life Genuine members. That's my answer. Thank you for your question. Your question could also be considered a revelation of divine wisdom, allowing me to express profound truths in simple language. Thanks to your question, countless people will benefit from this wisdom, and this is a merit you have earned. This Q&A is of great importance and will be placed in the advanced cultivation section for everyone to reflect upon. Cultivation and practice should align with nature. Xiefeng. November 7, 2009. Preface. True wisdom harmonizes with nature. Humans follow the earth follows the heavens follow the Tao, and the Tao manifests in nature. The highest rulers are so unobtrusive that people barely know they exist. When accomplishments are made and tasks fulfilled, people say, this came about naturally. A person of great virtue aligns with the Tao. Thus, the sage discards extremism, excess, and arrogance. The sage practices non-action. The Tao is esteemed, virtue is honored, yet they do not demand anything and always act naturally. The great way is simple, yet people prefer shortcuts. These are the words of Laozi in the Tao Te Ching. Let me elaborate on their essential meaning. True wisdom aligns with nature and unfolds effortlessly. Humans live according to the laws of the earth. The earth operates according to the laws of the solar system. The solar system adheres to the laws of the Tao, which manifests through nature. The supreme and most revered greatest creator is formless and shapeless, beyond human comprehension. The most profound laws govern all things effortlessly, unseen by humanity. When wishes are fulfilled, dreams realized, and goals achieved, people say, it happened naturally. The highest virtue is rooted in the Tao. The wise avoid extremes, greed, and excessive measures. The enlightened live in a state of natural non-action, refraining from forced endeavors. The greatest creator and the sage do not govern through commands, they allow things to follow their natural course. The most wondrous paths are simple, yet people prefer shortcuts. With these insights from Laozi, let us explore how Life Genuine members should cultivate themselves. The essence of nature. Laozi's teaching that the Tao manifests in nature implies that nature itself embodies the greatest creator. This means the way, which governs all things in the universe, unfolds according to the will of the greatest creator. All things and phenomena that grow, decay, operate, and evolve in accordance with natural laws are part of nature. If the Tao manifests in nature, then anything that contradicts the natural processes of growth, decay, functioning, and evolution is unnatural and contrary to the way. For humans, being born, growing, aging, and dying in accordance with natural processes is natural. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking are natural. Working at sunrise, resting at sunset, eating, drinking, sleeping, and making love are all natural. Expressing love and affection is especially natural. The human body is exquisitely designed, as is the natural world. The harmony between the human body and nature is also meticulously crafted. For instance, human ears hear only sounds between 20 and 20,000 Hz because sounds beyond this range could harm us. Similarly, our eyes perceive light between 400 and 700 nanometers. Perceiving light beyond this range would make survival difficult. These limitations are not restrictions but protections. Cultivation and practice aligned with nature. To live and cultivate in alignment with nature means to follow the way of the greatest creator. What does this mean? It means living, speaking, and acting according to the design and principles of nature. Eat when it's time to eat, drink when it's time to drink, sleep when it's time to sleep, relax when it's time for leisure, work when it's time to work, and indulge when it's time to enjoy. Why were humans placed on earth? It is to live honestly and simply as humans, not to seek to become gods, Buddhas, immortals, ghosts, demons, monsters, spirits, dogs, pigs, or any other beings. Our task is to be good humans, to express and perfect human nature. When human nature